name is Bosede Edwards. A number of people who have been at our webinars from the last 2 years will probably be familiar with the name. But if you are coming in for the first time, I'm Bosede Edwards. I'm a senior consultant with OT Consulting and Arrows Education. I'm usually the facilitator of this program. We do this like on a monthly basis, sometimes on a bi-weekly basis. So for today, I'm going to be addressing these issues, what arrows cover, and the basics that you need to have at hand before you can even start to think about going abroad to study. Then I'm going to address why you should immigrate through education, the options that we have for different levels of learning, which country you should go, what program you should study, when you should start applying, what you should go for. I'm going to talk briefly about funding. I know that's a very, very important point for most of our participants, scholarships, other sources of funding, and then some key challenges that we have noticed in people who have been in touch, some of the questions that have been passed on to me from those who registered about, okay, am I qualified, or what can I do to qualify? I will address that. Then how you can plan ahead. I will also mention something about that. Finally, I'll close with the special offer that Arrows is providing for those who attend this webinar. Usually, we always have some freebies for those who attend the webinar. So you will need to have your name on the register of those who attended this webinar before you can access that. Because I know that a number of people joined just by looking at maybe they found the Zoom details and then they joined. You can still register. I think the registration link is still open, so that if there is any benefits that applies to you, you can take advantage. So these are the countries covered by arrows. So I want to believe that you'll be able to find what applies to you here. So I have color-coded this so that it will be easy for you to relate with the information that is there. So the countries in blue are the countries that are English speaking. Some of them have like dual official languages, like Canada. Canada is both English and French. Malta is both English and Maltese. So, but they are basically English-speaking countries that have post-graduation work policy. That means there is a clear policy on post-graduation work if you go to study there. So they either will say, okay, at the end of your study, you are free to stay for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. There's a clear policy for international students who go to study in these countries that are in blue color. The countries in brown color also have post-graduation work policy, but they are not English speaking. Of course, you can study there in English. That means they have especially their postgraduate programs. So if you are studying for master's or PhD, you can go to any one of these countries. Some of them have programs that are in English for undergraduate programs, but they are usually very few. And if you are looking at scholarships, you will have to study in their language for you to be able to access these scholarships. So those are the ones in brownish colors. And then the countries in red are non-English speaking and no post-graduation work policy. Sometimes no, you can't even work as an international student. And those in green are those that are non-English speaking, but they have some work permit conditions. So you can apply for work permit. It may be a little bit cumbersome, not as straightforward as the countries in blue color. So these are the countries that Arrows is covering. So if your intention is to study in any one of these countries, what it means is that Arrows has a way for you to support you to study in these countries. And then I made a bit of a summary for post-graduation work policies by country. Some of the countries with the best post-graduation work policies are down there. New Zealand will give you between 1 to 3 years. Canada also offers 1 to 3 years. US between 6 months to 3 years. UK will give you up to 2 years if you study up to master's level. If you study up to PhD level, you have 3 years. Germany provides 18 months, Singapore and let me see, Singapore and China, 1 year. So these are all things that you need to think about when you are deciding where to go to study. What opportunities will be open to you? Okay, so I move on to the next slide. So application basics, international passport, that is the only internationally recognized identity document. So we cannot even begin to talk about admission or studying abroad until you have this. So this is totally basic. You must have it. Then the next item there is a comprehensive CV, and you should address your study gap in it. What do I mean by that? Because a lot of times, especially for participants who want to apply for undergraduate programs, maybe they just finished high school and they want to go for undergraduate studies, they will tell me, sorry, I don't have a CV, I don't have any work experience. What do I put on a CV? Work experience is just a section of your CV. It's not the totality of your CV. Your CV covers everything from your personal details to work experience to other things that we usually put in. So everyone can have a CV. Now, when I say comprehensive CV, if you have work experience, then capture as much of your experience as possible on your CV. You should capture including activities, including maybe unpaid jobs that you do, volunteer jobs that you do, or any volunteer activity. Those are all things that you should capture in your CV. And you should put links in your CV to any portfolio of your work. For those who are in the creative field, maybe you are a musician, I'm going to still talk about those ones later on. So you should capture as many information as possible, or rather as much information as possible on your CV. The reason is because you will not be there to speak for yourself. Only your CV will end up speaking for you. So you want to make sure that as much information as possible is available there. Your original certificates are a necessity. Sometimes you could have maybe statement of result to start the processing of your admission, but before you resume, you need to provide your original certificates. Some countries don't even accept any application until your original certificates are ready. Your academic transcripts or your statement, detailed result from your study is also a necessity for application. If you are studying maybe for PhD or Masters by Research, you need a research proposal. So that's a necessity. You have to prepare that. Your proof of employment is necessary if you have been working for a long time. Because when you have been working for a long time, there is a gap. There's a gap in your study story. So that is the proof that, okay, it is because you have been working that you have had this break in education. That is one. Secondly, when you have some poor results, if your result is poor, let's say you are applying for a master's program and you have a 2.2 that is very low, or you have a third class, your proof of work can also serve as something that we can present to argue a case for you with the university. So that's very important as well. Then there are country-specific basic requirements, like I mentioned before. Some countries will tell you need your original certificate. Some will tell you we accept statement of result pending when you are ready to resume. Some will tell you we need original transcript sent from your institution directly to us. Some will tell you you can use a student copy to apply. Then by the time you are registering as a student, then we need you to provide original copy. So there are country-specific basic requirements. I can't tell you the basic requirements for 26 countries. So it depends on which country you want to apply to. When you go through with the office is going to tell you everything that you need to know about your country of interest. Okay, so those are the basics. They should be available before you start to talk about admission. And then I have put this disclaimer because we had I think there was an experience last year that we had where somebody went and took money from some people and said he's representing AROS. So here I would like to say AROS Education is a licensed international student recruitment representative of many schools, colleges, and universities, and is an international student and research scholar advisory service provider. But AROS Education is not a certificate or degree awarding institution, is not a scholarship awarding body, is not a grant granting organization, because sometimes people do come and say, can you assure me that visa is going to go through 100%? No, nobody can assure you of that. If anybody is telling you they assure you of 100% visa, it's a lie. They want to scam you. The only person that can assure you 100% of visa is the consular officer, the ambassador of the country you are going. That is the only person that has 100% say as far as visa granting is concerned. The only thing that we promise is help you to put your best foot forward, help you to package all the documents that you need based on the experience that we've had, so that you are leaving no stone unturned when you are applying. You have all the documents that is required. You are able to answer all the questions you are going to be asked. But at the end of the day, it is still a function of the consular officer to say, I am giving you a go ahead or not. Sometimes you have everything required and the consular officer feels that maybe your body language during the interview or something is not correlating, or maybe they have found that your story is not true. So I'm going to talk about a few of those kind of things later on. So like I said, we are not a granting organization, and we are not a licensed visa agent. So, and finally, AROS Education has not appointed any organization to collect any form of payment on its behalf. So if you make any payment to any individual organization that is claiming to be AROS representative, it is done at your own risk, because we will not be able to solve the problem for you if it happens. So please, every AROS information is there on the screen. If you need any information, if you need to discuss, please use only these links to reach out to AROS Education, and we can guarantee your safety then. Okay, so why immigrate through education? That is my point number one. Because I think I did have cases last year where some people said, why don't I just use the money and immigrate by maybe any of the immigrant visa opportunities, for example, in Canada, where you can go in by express entry or skill migration and all that. Yes, you can do that if you have what it takes. Why immigrate through education is because after you immigrate through any one of those other programs, you are still going to end up needing to educate yourself. The reason is because most countries of the world don't really take serious certificates acquired outside their country. They want you to commit to their nation. They want you to commit to their education system before they employ you. So they want a situation where no matter your level of qualification, even if it's just a certification for your field, they want you to take it from their country before you can work in their system. But when you study in a particular country, they believe that you already understand their system. You have also invested in the system, so your opportunities are much better. So here I am not saying if you immigrate by any other immigration program, you will not be able to work. Maybe you might be lucky to be able to work. You might be lucky to be able to find good jobs, but your best chance opens up with immigration through education. An additional thing to that is that when you immigrate through education, you have the privilege of getting to understand the system more than anyone who is just coming in, maybe because they have money, they are coming in. It's usually when people get there that they realize that things are not as simple as they think. So immigration through education, we advocate that because for many countries of the world, that's like about the only chance that you have to commit to the system and understand the system and give yourself the advantage. AMOS has options for all levels of learning. So I want you to note that, because sometimes people do ask, do you also process admission abroad for primary school, for secondary school? Yes, AROS do that because we have partners who are secondary schools, primary schools, so we process admission for that. Then there is also the study abroad option for minors. So sometimes we do have, because there are many countries in the world where students are put in school on the basis of age. But for most African nations, people go to school on the basis of their capacity. It's not about age. So we do have cases where students graduated from high school at 15, and at 16, they are ready to go to university. For such students, if you go to some countries, you are not allowed to come in at that age, except if you have a guardian, either as your parent or someone in the country you're going who has volunteered to be your guardian. So when, because during registration, you will have that issue. There are so many things you will not be able to do because you are not yet at the age of maturity. So anybody under 17 going to study in some countries, you have the opportunity of actually going with them as the parent, if you can afford it. So you have to show capacity that you can afford that. Then you get what is called the parent or guardian visa. And there are also cases where you could be able to access a work permit if you show all the things that are required. So these are all things that we support as an organization. So where should you go to study? I put a comment there. Your choice, your goals, and your plans. That's what determines where you should go to study. Okay. Okay, I'm going to come back to that. So what you should consider first are all these points. One, you need to understand that not every institution admits international students from every country. And not every institution can even admit international students. And sometimes people have had these cases where they went online, they saw some universities or colleges, and they applied and they were offered admission. And by the time they got in, they discovered that they cannot access the benefits that they thought they would be able to access, because that institution is not licensed, does not have approval to admit international students. For example, in a place like Canada, there are institutions that fall in the category of those who can admit international students. If you don't go through those type of universities, you cannot study and work. You will not have post-graduation work permits. But a lot of times people don't know, and they fall into this kind of mistake. So these are things that you need to know. Post-graduation opportunities vary by country and by program and your length of study. So if you don't know that, you may end up making a mistake. And immigration opportunities also differ by country. So these are things that you need to factor in while you are planning. Budget per country differs as well. So there are countries where you can study for as low as, let's say, $2,000 per annum, $3,000. And there are some places where you will need to pay a lot more than that. Now, when you choose cheap countries, because this is what our experience has shown us, the higher the cost of study, the more the opportunity that you have. Countries that are very, very cheap in terms of tuition are also very poor in terms of post-graduation opportunities. So you need to factor all of that in. Are you planning to stay in this country after your study? If that is it, then you should choose a country that allows that. Not every country allows students to stay. Post-graduation opportunities, like I said, differs. If you are looking for opportunity to work after you have finished your study, you need to also decide on which country offers you that, if that is your goal. What are your immigration plans? You want to stay in that country? You want to become a citizen of that country? Yes, you need to factor all of this in. So I'll give you an example. You come to study maybe in a place like Malaysia. You have opportunity, you can work if you're able to find a job after your study, but there is no policy that supports and that opportunity for you. So if you find a job, yes, you can take advantage, but if you don't find a job, there is no opportunity for you to stay and say, I want to stay and look for a job. Now, let's assume that you find a job and you say you don't have the privilege of immigrating to say, I'm becoming a citizen. That opportunity is not there. Many people also think, okay, by marrying the citizens, then you become the citizen of the country. No, it does not work in every country. It doesn't work in Malaysia, for example. It may work in some other countries. But so you need to find out what works in any country that you're going before you go there, so that you will not have any cause to regret when it's already too late. So I'm going to just do a run through of some of the countries that we cover, especially the Western nations. So this is Australia. When you study in Australia, you have the opportunity that is called the COP. There is a COP option where you are able to study alternately and work. And that gives you work experience that you can leverage after your graduation. There are also a lot of post-graduation opportunities. There's opportunity for citizenship. There is a skilled occupation list that can guide you on how to choose what to study. There are several immigration programs. Some of them are listed there, the general ones, the regional migration programs, the agricultural sector programs. There is also the temporary visa programs if you come from the country where that qualifies. There are career-specific programs, and there are a number of issues related to the skilled migration, which includes your age, your qualification, and the family advantages. United Kingdom also has COP options if you study there, but you need to be sure of what program you are studying, because not every program has this option. There are a lot of post-graduation opportunities now. It was poor until last year, but there were new policies made last year that allows international students to now take advantage of post-graduation opportunities. I think it's up to 2 years now. There is also the shortage occupation list that you can check to decide on what to study. The immigration programs, there are many of them, as you can see there. There is a general one. There is the new health and care fast track. There is the career-specific programs, the global talent programs, and other issues related to the skilled migration too. Canada also offers co-op option and a lot of post-graduation opportunities. I think Canada may be one of the countries, apart from New Zealand, I think Canada may be one of the countries that has the best post-graduation opportunities. And then there is the NOC list, that is also the shortage occupation list, where you should let it guide you to decide on what to study. Immigration programs are many. There are the provincial nomination programs, that's the PNPs, and there are a lot of other pilot programs that you can key into if you qualify. But you are going to need to explore them one after the other and see which one applies to you as an individual, because they all have different conditions. There are career-specific programs depending on your field. For example, if you are in the health sector, there are some programs for nurses that you can use to immigrate easily. Then there is the express entry program, which is age-specific, academic qualification specific, and you also can be invited if you have a family over there in Canada. There is the skilled migration program as well. If you are in the trades area or you are in the regulated professions area, it can help you to also migrate to Canada. Malaysia has the cost advantage in the sense that it's cheap to study. The tuition is low because the currency is not as strong as the dollar, the Canadian dollar or the US dollar. There is so a few courses have the co-op option, and then but most of the options here for co-op are usually after your program. So after you've graduated, in the last semester of your program, you have the privilege of going to work in the industry. And sometimes through that, you can get the opportunity to be employed by those if you perform well. So you need to have this at the back of your mind. Post-graduation opportunities are very limited, and then you will, if you find a job, you are free to stay and work, because you need a work visa to continue staying after your student visa has expired. The acceptability of the certificate is, I mean, anywhere in the world, the certificates from Malaysia is well evaluated by West, if you are familiar with that. And you can also do transfer. And there are a lot of programs here that are what we call the 2+1 and 2+2 programs, which means you can study 2 years in Malaysia and complete your study 1 year in another country where they have affiliation, usually UK, US, Canada, or Australia. And then you can have 2 years in Malaysia, 2 years in any one of those countries. That's also possible in many institutions. But then you will need to know this so that you can apply to those institutions from the onset. And there is the environmental advantage, because I think from all the countries that I've mentioned, only Malaysia is tropical, where you don't have to fight with cold. So it's a tropical country, so the environmental advantage is there, and that reduces the cost of living. Immigration programs are very limited. They have the tech entrepreneurship program, the MN2H is called Malaysia My Second Home program. If you have money, you can live here with your money. It's a place for you to retire if you have a lot of money. There is also immigration programs through investment. We have some good millions that you can invest. You can move to Malaysia. There is business ownership opportunity as well for immigration. So these are all things that you can look at. Russia is also low in tuition. The tuition is very similar to Malaysia, and the living cost is quite low. Education in Russia is highly supported by the government, so it makes a lot of things cheap for students, especially if you live on campus. Its central location is could be an advantage for many people, because Russia covers both Europe and Asia, and it is bordered by about 16 countries. It has about 11 time zones. So you can study and work when you're in Russia. So that's another advantage that you have. And you can, there are a lot of post-graduation opportunities. You can, when you graduate, you have the privilege of staying back to work. You can actually become a citizen if you want to. I think after 5 years of staying there, you can apply for citizenship after you've worked for like 5 years now as a PR. The scholarship in Russia is non-discriminatory, unlike most other nations where you have to be top student before you can access scholarship opportunities. In Russia, everyone is free to take the scholarship exam, and if you pass, you have the scholarship. So immigration and citizenship opportunities are also there. So this is like, I think I did this table just to give you an idea of, a summary idea of all the things that I've been speaking about all the countries. Of course, I am not able to capture all the countries, but as you can see there, Australia, Canada, UK, Malaysia, Russia are all captured. Whatever you find in Canada, you can easily apply to US, because it's more or less the same country. So you can say quality of life, tuition is low in some places, and then living cost. But you see that when you look at immigration opportunities, you can compare with the tuition and the living expenses. So you see, I think I will suggest you take a screenshot of this if you think it will be of help, so that we will not waste time on it. There's a lot of information packed in this, so it will help. So what program should you study? How do you choose programs or courses? These are considerations that from experience we can advise you. Think globally before you choose a course to study or a program of study. Consider practicality before desirability. From interacting with a lot of students over the past 2 years, and from my personal experience previously, there is a lot that is common among African parents. Oh, I want my child to become this, I want my child to become this. It does not work that way in most other countries of the world. Practicality that I mean here is, when you graduate from this course, will you be able to find a job? Because it wouldn't make any sense when you have invested so much, you have studied and you have invested effort, money and everything, and you are not able to find a job. But you probably will have a big name attached to, or a big title attached to your name. It wouldn't make sense. So you have to think globally. You have to think of what opportunities you are looking at accessing after your study before you decide on what programs to study for or what course to go for. So when I was talking about different countries just now, you saw all the leads that I told you about, the shortage of job list, NOC, all of those things. You need to review them and see what the needs are in these countries. So if a country is saying, right now we don't need medical doctors, what we need are people who will work as ward aides in the hospitals. If you go and you study medicine, what it means is that you may not find a job. That's just an example. So sometimes, and then the way jobs are, the way people work and the way people get paid for jobs done in many of these countries also differ from the way it is in Africa. You are paid based on your certificate in most African nations. In many of these countries, you are paid based on the service that you render. So the fact that you are a professor does not guarantee that you're going to earn more than a carpenter, because people get paid per hour or by the job that they do. So you need to be sure of what post-graduation opportunities you are looking at before you choose what to study. Don't study something that will not be applicable in the country that you are planning to stay. Review national and local needs. That will help you to decide. Choose programs that have co-op options or that have work experience options, because that will ensure that you have contact with the industry while you are still studying. And you can build network, you can build relationships that will help you to be able to find a job after you graduate. Review immigration opportunities before you apply, because even post-graduation work permit is based on what needs are in that particular country. So if you are looking at immigrating, you should prepare yourself to be useful in that country. Okay. Now, think tech within your field. What I mean is that, as you all know, everything is going techie these days. Even if you study languages, you are expected to be able to know how to code very soon. So if there is any tech-related areas within your field, because normally I cannot tell you that everyone should go and study engineering, or everyone should go to study computer science, or everyone should learn, maybe whatever else is tech in our own understanding. But as I said, think tech within your field. So whatever your field is, what is related to technology there could be your way out. Map your choice to national or local need, like I've said. Map your choice to your background. And this is very important, because in certain countries, visa application is tied to a story of your life. So if the story of your life does not match, then you're going to have issues. If you come up with, okay, I studied mechanical engineering for my bachelor's. Then I found a job in the construction industry. And then now I want to go and study master's in computer science. You know, everything is scattered. So you need to be able to map your choice to your background so that you will not have problems with visa approval. Focus at creating a credible story. So that's what I just said now. Try writing your statement of purpose so that if your story is not aligning, if your story is not getting credible, you would have known, and then you'll be able to make corrections before it is too late. So think about visa while you are planning. Do your research. Don't plan on hearsay. And I'm going to repeat that because so many times I hear people say, if you go to this country, this and this and this will happen. They have not even been to the airport before, and they are going to tell you everything that happens in the White House in the US. Don't listen to hearsay. If you're going to listen to anyone tell you anything, listen to someone who you know has authentic information, not someone who heard from someone that heard from someone who heard from someone. So do your own research. Don't base your plan on hearsays. Okay, so when should you apply, and something about visa issues? So these are just average timeline and cost that can help you to plan. Minimum of 3 to 7 months between application and targeted resumption date. So for example, if you are planning to resume in September 2022, now is the time for you to start planning. Visa issues can take a long time. Sometimes application can take a long time depending on your case, because you may have a complicated case that requires meetings at faculty level and things like that. Or if you are going for a research study, it may take a long time for you to be able to find a supervisor. So these are all things you need to factor in when you are planning. So allow at least, let me say 7 months. 3 months could work in places where the visa processing is very simple. But in other places, it could be a lot complicated. So 7 months is a good time to allow. But if you can allow more than that, the better for you. Average minimum cost is what you have seen there. In terms of tuition, I said 7,500 to 25,000. You see that there is no currency at the back. Just put the currency of whatever country you want to go there. So if you're going to Russia, put Russia currency there. If you want to go to Canada, put Canada currency there. If you want to go to the US or the UK, just put the currency of that country there. It is the same thing. And living expenses also runs like that. It's between 8,000 to 13,000. Put the currency of the country you are going there. So that will give you an idea of what to look at. So exact values then will depend on what course you are studying, because some courses are more expensive than others. So then the location, even within the same country, the location of your study will also affect how much you pay, especially in terms of living expenses. And the institution you are going also plays a role. The program you are studying, for example, master's programs can be a bit cheaper than undergraduate programs. So PhD programs may be free, depending on your ability to put yourself together well. So these are all things that you need to take into consideration. How you should study, by that I mean different modes of study, what should you consider, entry requirements, what are they, and then transfer programs. I'll say something about that as well. So should you go to college or university? Should you get a certificate or diploma? I'll say yes and no. It depends on what your goal is. If your goal is on immigration and you want it fast, a certificate or diploma program might be your best bet. Because if you go for a bachelor's program, you're looking at about 4 years before you are able to apply to immigrate. And 4 years is a long time. A lot of things can happen in 4 years. Immigration policies may change in 4 years. So what you are probably targeting to go for, okay, maybe you have seen that after graduation, you can apply to become a citizen in this country. In 4 years, that may change. So if your goal is fast immigration, then go for a certificate or diploma program that will take a short time. But while you are going for that short time, ensure that that time is long enough to give you the opportunity to immigrate, because that also affects what you can do. Courses to choose, I think I've mentioned that national, regional, or local needs is important for you to consider. Educate yourself, do your research. Top surprisingly difficult programs to get into are not what you think. Thought or research programs, which one should you choose? It depends on your goal. Do you want to further your studies? For example, if you're going for a master's program, are you planning on doing PhD later? Then go for a research master's program. If not, just go for a third program. If you have low academic qualifications like third class, or you have an HND, what are your options? Those are things that you need to consider as well, because there is a lot of discrimination when it comes to qualifications. So you need to be sure where you are applying to and what is available for you there. So you can also go for maybe certificate programs or postgraduate diploma programs in this kind of situation. If you are intending to study research programs, it's important for you to start early. It's important for you to find a supervisor. It's important for you to develop a research proposal. So that's those are things that you need to consider. First class candidates, there are a lot of opportunities in terms of scholarships, and yeah, there are many opportunities if you're a first class candidate. And if you graduate actually with the first class from your university, you are free. If it is in your plan to do a PhD, you are free to proceed for a PhD program straight without doing master's program. Many people are not aware of this, but yes, in many countries that we work with, that opportunity is there. And usually it's a fully funded program. So these are all opportunities that you can take advantage of. You just finished high school, you are outstanding. There are also a lot of opportunities that you can take advantage of. So general prerequisites or requirements for your qualifications, what do you have and what program do you want to study? For example, for most direct entry programs, you need your grade 12 certificate or your A-levels. If you are doing a pre-university program or a foundation program, you need your grade 10 or grade 11. And then for those who want to do masters or PhD, you need a CGPA 3.0 and above. And you need an excellent research proposal if you are opting for a research program. Other prerequisites, I said passion or commitment. Why I said that is because a lot of times you get tired when you are making effort to go abroad. It could be challenging. You try, you are denied, you try again, you are denied. If you are not passionate and committed, you may not be able to pull through. So it's very important that you are passionate about this before you step into it. Financial ability is very important because for most nations, especially nations where you have good advantages, you need to show that you have money for you to even be able to get visa. Now, let me say something about this, because for many people, they are discouraged when they see that, wow, you need this amount in millions to be able to access this opportunity, then they just turn back. But it doesn't actually work that way. The money that you need is not money that you need to spend immediately. You just need to show that you have this money stored up. So you should understand that, and you can plan for that. If you give yourself a breathing space of say 7 months to 9 months, you can be able to plan for that with support from maybe families and friends to show that you have this financial ability. It's called proof of funds. So when you're checking, maybe you want to do research, check about proof of funds for different countries. Outstanding skills or talent with a portfolio to prove it could also be something that gives you very good opportunity, especially in terms of scholarships. So I will talk about scholarships later on, but let me just say about portfolio here. If you are into the arts, let's say you are a musician or you are an artist or you are a dancer or you are in the languages, whatever area of arts you're in, make sure that as you are going along, you develop a portfolio that matches what you are claiming so that when you are asked to present your portfolio, then you have something to show. You may be the best sports person. If you don't have a portfolio to show it, there is no way to prove it. You may be the best musician. If you don't have a portfolio to show it, unfortunately, you will not be able to defend that. So now on transfer of study, yes, you might have been studying in a country before, maybe in your own country, maybe in another country, and you want to transfer your study, or people do ask, can I finish in another country? Yes, you definitely can finish in another country. So the idea is, okay, you have started here, you can continue elsewhere. You're going to transfer your study to another country. Now, people they always ask, if I transfer, will I lose the years that I've invested in one country? Usually the answer is no, except if your results are poor, or if the courses you are studying, maybe you are not even aware, because there have been many cases that I've been in touch with where students don't even know that the university they are attending is not accredited, or that the courses they are studying are not accredited. So in such cases, there is nothing. It's already too late by the time you are transferring, and then you discover that your courses cannot be used to give you waivers or exemptions. So one, be sure that where you are currently studying, your university is accredited. Two, that the courses that you are studying currently are accredited. Then the procedure is that you're going to need your detailed result. You're going to make a fresh application to the country or the university that you want to transfer your study to. And then when you get there, so they're going to give you a fresh offer as if you are being given, you are starting your program afresh. Now, after you have registered as a student, you will now present your document. You present your detailed result from the university you were studying before. So a course by course matching will now be done with your transcript. Then you will be given waivers or exemptions from all the courses that you have already passed. So that's how it works. And if you are going to an English-speaking country like the US, the UK, Canada, Australia, you may need English test result if you are from a non-English speaking country. That's going to be very important. If you are from an English-speaking country and your English result is bad, you may need English test result. So you're going to need to write the academic version of the English test, like TOEFL or IELTS. So on English test, there, if you are from an English-speaking country, most countries will exempt you from English test. So you don't need to present English test result. If your score is poor in your English exams or your English courses that you've taken before, you may need to present another English test. So, and I will say there are no general conditions here, because even though you are exempted by many universities will still tell you, we want English test. So whether you are from English-speaking country or not, they still want you to present English test. And that may determine what opportunities you have access to. So that's very important. And then if you are from non-English speaking countries, then you have to present English test as band 5.5 with conditional offer, band 6.5 with full offer, or other other types of English tests. I'm not sure if Duolingo test is still acceptable. It was acceptable during the lockdown last year, but at this time, I don't know if it's totally stopped. So you will check to be sure. Okay, on funding, on scholarships and other sources, which is like the main thing here for many people, I have this to say. Self-funding is your best option if it is affordable, because you don't have to report to anyone. You don't you can peacefully study and go on with your whatever you are doing. Because when you take scholarships, when you take grants, there are expectations that many people don't know. And those expectations are that you have to continue to meet up with the CGPA on which you were given that scholarship. Let's assume that you got a scholarship because you have CGPA 3.8. You're going to study for 4 years. You must maintain CGPA 3.8 for those 4 years. If you don't maintain them, you'll be cut off from the scholarship immediately you stop meeting up. And the moment you are cut off, you cannot come back, even if your result gets better. And they may actually ask you to pay back. Yeah. You can fund yourself, do it conveniently, don't stress yourself. Grant. The advantage you have as a postgraduate student, that's what I mean by PG advantage, is that if you opt for research option, there are many research grants that you can access. And when you are able to access research grants, then you can study for free. You will not need to pay tuition, and you will also be able to get monthly stipends that can take care of your other expenses. There are always local opportunities if you find a on and support you with all the opportunities actually available only after you have registered. So there are many merit scholarships. There are also entry scholarships. Entry scholarships when you apply as a student. So everybody gets it. As long as they give you offer, you're going to get the entry scholarship. But when you register and you become a full-time student, there are many scholarships that are open that you can actually take advantage of. So then college rather than university, I mentioned that before because colleges are a lot cheaper than university. And because they are not long-term programs, you have to continue to pay that kind of money for 4 years. You can easily go to a college and maybe 18 months or maximum 24 months, you are done. You have a post-graduation work permit, maybe up to 3 years, and you can find a job and settle down. If you want to do a bachelor's program or a master's program later on, you can always do that. Because now you are going to be able to afford whatever, because you're working, you may be able to afford something better than what you have initially. And then cost of living is usually lower in the regions rather than the cities. So if you go to study, let's say, for example, at the capital city, you may need to pay more in terms of cost of living. But I'll say, don't just lock yourself in over any one of those things, because even in the cities, there are cheap opportunities. You just need information to be able to access them. So I'm sorry, but I have to say this, the scholarships are not for everyone. Because even while this, I think the questions that were sent that I got from the people who registered for the program, I received some questions, and many of them were like, do you have scholarship for me? I can't afford to study abroad. Can I get a full scholarship? Sorry, there are no full scholarships and there are full scholarships. If you are qualified, there are full scholarships. But if you are not qualified, there are no full scholarships. Even when you are qualified, full scholarships are not available for free. There is a lot of investment that goes into getting a full scholarship, and you have to do the job. So for those who are asking, can you help me to get full scholarship? No, I can't help you to get full scholarship. ARROS can't help you to get full scholarship. If you find a full scholarship that you want to access and you need support, maybe ARROS can support you. If you have, maybe if you want to attempt to access grants through research, yes, ARROS can support you with that. But you're going to also need to invest in paying your consultation fees. So at the end of the day, there is no free lunch. That's what they usually say. So there are no scholarships anywhere, and you need to qualify first to even begin to think about full scholarship. So that's very important. I've already said waivers and discounts are available, even up to 100% discount on tuition. So that means these scholarships will take care of your tuition totally, or give you waivers 10%, 20%, 30, 40, up to 100. But living expenses will be your job to take care of. And I've mentioned before, there are entry and merit scholarships. These are the most practical things that you can be thinking about. So if everybody is talking about full scholarships, that's an impossibility. Full scholarships are not, even when you see them advertised, this scholarship is worth this amount, it will take care of everything, check it out. Out of maybe a million people that are applying for scholarship, applying to go to school every year, maybe 2% can access full scholarship. So it's very limited. So think of things that are more practical. Research grants can be practical for those in the research field, but you need to work on developing a research proposal that is presentable. There are sportsmen or sportswomen scholarships for those in the sports field, but you need, like I said, you need a portfolio to show for it. Artist grants or artist scholarship is also, I've also spoken about that. You need a portfolio to show. Localized opportunities, there are grants and studentships when you have registered as a student. There are grants on projects that you can approach supervisors who have them and ask them to take you on, but you need to be in the system before you can access them. There are local scholarships that are government funded that you can access. There are also field specific funding. For example, if you are a researcher, there could be a funding in your field of study or in your research area that you can access. These are all things that you can take advantage of. Scholarship requirements, the usual one, outstanding CGPA greater than 3.8 out of 4, or especially for those who are talking about full scholarships. Your CV must be good, it must be comprehensive, it must show documented extracurricular activities, demonstrated leadership, special skills, and your work experience. These are all things that you must capture to be able to access them. Sometimes you are asked to provide video CV. So you talk about yourself in the video, maybe a 1-minute video, you can start practicing that. There are exceptional student scholarships for those, maybe you are a distinction student, you start for 9 subjects, you have distinctions in all 9 subjects, you can access that as well if you qualify. There is the SAT, the GRE, GMAT, or A levels. There are many scholarships that goes with this if your results are good, so you can take advantage of them. Interview or video application, I've mentioned that. Information and networking sessions like this that you are in today is also something very important that you should take advantage of from time to time, because you never know when you're going to come into contact with opportunities that will work for you. Information is power, so these are all good for you. Planning, yes, I'll still talk about funding and aligning your qualifications and building an alibi through your statement of purpose as I talk about this. There are a lot of issues about visa, and that's where planning should start. I mentioned earlier that requirements vary by country, and so opportunities that you have are usually proportional to the investment you are making in terms of tuition. Not all universities or colleges give students, let me see what something is called in that, just a minute. Work permit, not all, like I think I've mentioned that. So, and I said visas are 100% consular decisions, yes, 200%. What I mean by that is there is nobody involved that can promise you visa except the consular officer. People can support you in every way possible. So, and then on visa issues as well, I would say there are people that we refer to as high-risk candidates, and there are also issues around that. If you are a senior student, you need to be careful when you are applying. Let's say you are 45 and you want to go to study for a bachelor's program. It will be very difficult for you to convince the consular officer about this. It's usually very difficult. So you need to factor this into the story while you are starting. Not that it is impossible, but you need to tell a credible story. Education gaps can be issues, can be serious issues that you graduated from your bachelor's program in 2006, and this is 2022, you want to go for master's program. Where have you been all these years? That's the question you need to answer. So you need to describe that in your CV. Why is there a gap in your education and what have you been doing between those periods? Countries that are very reasonable always consider your story. They don't judge you just by saying, oh, this person has education gaps, forget it. No, they look at case by case for individuals. So they read through your story and see, okay, you have a credible story. Let's say, for example, you graduated in 2000 or you finished high school in 2010 or in 2015, you finished high school. Now this is 2022, is when you are applying to go and study for a bachelor's program. You have 7 years in between high school and now. Where have you been? I couldn't afford to take care of myself. I found support while I was in high school, so I thought it would be reasonable for me to go and work and save up for me to go to do a bachelor's program. That's a credible story anybody will believe. But if you don't have a story to tell, then you're going to have issues when it comes to visa. Career switches are also issues that you may need to address. You studied for, let's say you studied, you studied management and you were working, let's say you are working as a marketer in an organization, and that was about 20 years ago or 15 or 10 years ago. Suddenly this year, you want to go and study computer science. What's your story? You need to tell a story that is believable. It's not impossible. You just need to get it right. Get your story right. Think about it. Why are you doing this that you are doing now? Why haven't you done it earlier? Why are you switching from this career to that other career? There are always good reasons. So you just need that reason to be good enough for the consular officer to think that your story is credible. You have lower qualifications, you need to also think about that before you apply so that you have a good story. Okay, my qualification here is quite low and I'm looking at the opportunity to better my lot for the future. So I have chosen to upgrade myself in this way. These are all credible stories that you can tell. Okay, so I want to talk about mindset correction here, especially for young people who are maybe just leaving high school and they want to go and study abroad for their bachelor's program, or you just graduated from your bachelor's program and you're going to study for master's. Prepare yourself mentally, physically, and financially, because this is where many people fall short and get into trouble. We have had cases where people were unable to pay their tuition, and so they ended up dropping out of the program. They didn't leave the country, they were busy roaming around until they got arrested and deported. These are things that you don't want to happen to you. So you plan, prepare well before you make any attempt to go abroad. Work on your attitude. Going abroad is not a magic wand that solves all your problems. If you don't work on your attitude, you may even go abroad and go back home without being able to achieve anything. I've seen many cases of people who went to study abroad, they dropped out of the program and went back home without anything. And imagine the amount of money that would have been invested in you going abroad to study, and then everything goes to waste. So work on your attitude. Get readily marketable skills. I think this is one that I cannot emphasize enough. Keep saying this to every young person that I have the opportunity to speak to individually. In this age that we are living in, and things are getting more and more in that direction, get skills that are marketed. Nobody cares about your certificate if you cannot solve any problem. So your certificate may not be what makes the way for you. It may be the skill that you have. Many countries that have a lot of immigration programs today are asking for skilled migrants, people who can contribute something to the economy. They prefer to allow someone with the skill to make, let's say you are a hairdresser or a tailor. They prefer them to someone who has a bachelor's degree or a master's degree that they cannot make use of. Because today, nobody cares. No, certificates don't do the job. It is people who do the job. And if people can do the job, they don't care what kind of certificates you are holding in many cases. This age that we are living in, it is becoming more and more important that you may not even have reason to work in the country where you live. Most countries of the world are now opening up their system to to employ people from other nations. Working in another country. So you need readily marketable skills. If you're going to study, you need skills that can earn income while you're studying. Assuming, because let's say, for example, you go to study in a Western country, you have no skill. The best thing that will happen to you is, let's say you can work as a waiter at a restaurant. That's a fixed amount that you can earn on daily basis for as long as you're able to work. And they will also put a cap on how much you can earn. But let's assume that you are someone who is good with programming. Nobody cares. You need anybody to employ you because there are 1,001 people looking for programmers, and you can work for 3, 4, 5, 6 different organizations. You don't have to be tied to any one of them. They pay you for whatever job you do. That's the kind of skill you want to acquire. You want to be able to, even if it's just to barb hair, you can barb hair for your colleagues. They will pay you for that. You can sew, you can make hair. I always tell people, what I have here, some people, that's what they made a lot of money from just braiding hairs for people here. So these are things that you can work on before you go abroad. Because I have also heard of cases of people who went abroad who had opportunity to work, but they were unable to find jobs because they had no skill. So skill versus qualification, but go for skills while you are working so that you have something to earn income from while you are working at qualification. Build a good CV and please volunteer. Young people, please volunteer. Don't always wait until you find someone who is ready to pay you for a job. Volunteer for jobs. Even if they're not going to pay you anything, you gain experience that you can put on your CV. That's how you get work experience on your CV. Do community service, volunteer in the environment, choose to help, teach for free. These are all things that you can do to help you build a good CV. Understand the local setting that you're going into and prepare yourself for what will be useful when you go there. Okay, and then next I have here, okay, I wanted to say something about this because this is very, very important if you are going to, or if you are planning to go and study in UK, US, Canada, Australia, or New Zealand. All these countries signed an agreement in 2009 at what is known as the 5-Country Conference. This agreement is called the High Value Data Sharing Protocol. It enables biometric data sharing between member countries. What that means is that all member countries are in possession of your visa application details and outcomes, including the rejections. So if you have, let's say, for example, now you want to go to the UK study. But last year, you applied to Canada to study and you were denied visa. UK is aware. New Zealand is aware. US is aware. Australia is aware. So the next time you are applying for visa to, let's say, US or to Canada or Australia, and then they ask you, have you ever been denied visa in any country? You say no. You have put a capital no on yourself because now you are telling them, I am a liar. Because they know that you're a liar. They already can see in their system that you applied to UK last year or to US last year and you were denied. So don't ever lie when you are dealing with any of these 5 countries. If you have been denied visa, it does not mean that you will not get approval next time. So multiple denials does not mean you can't travel. You still can, but be sincere. But above all of this, I will say, be sure of being able to get the visa. Be sure that you are in good standing before you start applying all over the place and then getting yourself rejection after rejection. It's not in your best interest, but it does not mean the end of the world too. So how do you address these challenges? Start early to improve your visa rating, work on your CV, like I've said, close education gaps, upgrade your qualification. I remember 2 years ago, we had a case of someone who had an education gap because she went to give birth and then she had about maybe 6 or 7 years in between the last schooling. She wanted to go to Canada and we advised her, Canada is going to talk about education gap. Where have you been and all that? Close this education gap because the idea is, will you be able to cope? You've been out of the classroom for all these years. How are you going to be able to cope and become a poor student or a bad student? Because no school wants that. They don't want you to ruin their reputation. So we advised her, go to study in a country that does not have that limitation first. Do a program there, close that education gap. Then you can be ready to go to Canada. So close education gaps, upgrade your qualifications, get marketable skills. If you have upgrading your qualification will mean things like you have an HND. If you can get yourself a postgraduate diploma from your country, please do that while you are working at going out. Get marketable skills, get useful certifications within your field. You want to study something in the IT, get some IT certifications that will help you. Choose a matching program. If you are a senior, opt for senior programs. I do have this question from many people. You already have a PhD, and then you want to go and study in Canada. What is there to study after PhD again? That's the issue. So the issue is there are what we call the senior programs. So those are the kind of programs you opt for, programs that shows that you are building capacity as a senior person at your place of work, rather than someone who is trying to build qualification. Save up so that you can show financial capacity. Don't gamble on that. That is a no-no for most Western countries. Don't gamble on that. If you don't have enough, wait until you have enough. There are no two ways about that. Go after information, seek help, use services if you can afford them. Use consultancy services if you can afford them. Go after information like the one you are accessing right now. Okay, for research studies, for research scholars, either PhD or masters or postdocs, you need to also plan, develop a proposal or concept notes. So my general counsel, as far as that is concerned, work on yourself, work on your personal image and digital CV. I know I don't like it when people tell me, at my age, I'm not used to social media. Sorry, that is where the world is living today. If you're not used to social media, well, maybe you can build a website. But if you can't afford to build a website, you need a digital CV where information about you and what you have done and what you can do can be accessed. And that is very important. So you can do that on Facebook, you can do that on LinkedIn, you can do that on any social media that is specific to your area of research or area of work. But you need a digital CV. You need an online presence. You have to work on that. Start early on developing a proposal. You can also access support for that. Arrows can help you with that if you need it. Confirm ongoing related projects in your field in the country that you want to go. Google national and international funds in your field that are related to your proposed study or that are related to your field, and develop a proposal in that line. Network with other researchers to know what is going on in your field, especially if you have been out of the system for a long time. Network, discuss, join groups. There are so many groups on LinkedIn, groups of people in this field, groups of people who are teachers, there are so many opportunities. Go to Facebook, there are so many groups on Facebook that are related to your field. Join and see the discussions that are going on there. A lot of opportunities are posted there as well. So please take advantage of that. You need an excellent research proposal. I think I've talked about all of this, but the last thing I want to say to that is research your professor. If you want to ask someone to be your supervisor, do your research so that you can demonstrate the knowledge of your proposed work and seriousness in working with them when you write your letter of interest to them. Because if you are telling me, let's say you want me to be your supervisor, and you write to me, please, I would like you to be my supervisor. I want to work in this area. You should find out what area I am working in and review the papers that I have written so that you can tell me, oh, I came across your paper titled this, and I think I like this. I would like to be able to work under you because I can see that your work and mine, they are aligned and all that. These are things so this is an idea of a letter of interest to supervisor that you can see there, just an idea. I'm Jane Doe, I'm currently I'm interested in this field and all that. You can take a screenshot because I don't want to stay on this because of time. So in summary, start planning early. Better to have too much time than not to have enough time. Think ahead. Align your goals with your plans. Review or understand country-specific requirements. Put practicality above desirability when you're choosing courses or programs. Research your course or program or country of interest very well before you make a decision. Transfer your programs or course. You can transfer your program or course, but you need to understand what's involved. Prepare yourself emotionally and financially. Don't work on hearsays. Do your homework. That is very important. Okay, so Arrow says there are special offers for those who are in this program today, 20 to 50% off the consultancy fee for those who are at the program today. There are terms and conditions that applies to each one. So if you have attended this program, this offer applies to only to consulting fees only. It does not apply to application fees that are charged by university. Arrows is not in the place to waive that. We do have opportunities to waive this when the university gives us. So like last year, we had a lot of opportunities to waive application fees because the university said anybody that attended your program, waive application fees for them. But except that, you have to pay application fees to the university. 20% off if you are going to any Western nation, if you want to apply to anywhere, UK, US, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, 20% off your consulting fee, 20% off if you want to do a research master's or PhD program, 100% return for any Malaysian public university collaborator. What that means is if you want to study in any public university in Malaysia, you will get back 100% of whatever you pay as consultation fee if you apply and you are offered admission. Why that is because in many cases, people end up wasting our staff time. Our staff, their time is very, very important as well. It's very, very limited. You all know it's only 24 hours that is in a day. So if they end up spending time working on somebody's application and then at the end of the day, you just come up and say, I'm not interested again. That is very, very unfair to them. So you pay the fee, but if at the end of the day, your application pulls through and you are ready to apply, to resume, your application fee or your consultancy fee will be returned 100%. For private universities, we will return 50% of your consultancy fee if you are in this program today. Do you still need more info? We hosted about 26 universities in 2020, and I think more last year. So if you go onto Arrow's Facebook or YouTube channel, you'll be able to find all the universities that we hosted and their representatives spoke during the webinars. So please go on there, review the videos to get yourself more information that will be useful for you. There are detailed information on scholarship, on the requirements and all that from all the universities. There is guidance on English programs and different programs. Research studies as well, PhDs and grants, they're all available there. Arrow's Consult is free, as always. Our information sessions are always free. Then we started an information session with Passport Beyond Borders last year. We're continuing this year, and I think I'm not sure if it's 16th, but we will surely get information across to you. We will be doing a focus session on study in the US in either next week or the week after. So you may want to also attend that. I'll be speaking there as well. And then we're going to also have students from the US who will be sharing experiences about studying in the US with you. So if you want to attend, I think our Arrows will send you details on how to join that when the time comes. Our career roundtables, we planned for that last year with the hope that we will still be able to, that the coronavirus issue would have been over. Unfortunately, it wasn't over. So this year, we are hoping we'll be able to also go through this. What career roundtable involves is that we are going to be inviting speakers from different fields who will come and share their story with you or with your children so that they can be guided in selecting careers, especially in the age that we are living in, where things are changing and workspaces and workplaces are changing in the 21st century. So we bring in people who have gone through maybe different steps, or probably they thought that they made a mistake in their choices before, and then they were able to get around the mistake and able to still achieve their dream. We are going to be bringing professionals to that program to be speaking to you during those career roundtables. And then campus tours, yes, we were able to do that as well last year because of the lockdown. We're just coming out of lockdown now, so we'll be able to do maybe a few campus tours so that you can see the universities, you can speak, you can hear their representatives speak during some of the programs. So such programs will be live whenever we have them. So you'll be free to join and see what's going on at the university end. So I think I'm going to stop here, and I want to throw the floor open. If you have any question, you can actually put it in the chat box so that we're not going to have a rowdy time, except if you are unable to use the chat function, then you can use the raise hand function, and then you'll be able to ask your questions. Okay. So I learned that the host has muted every participant. I'm saying that now. So maybe you can just use the chat function. So let me see if we have just a minute. Okay. So I'm going to allow people to speak now. I'm seeing a hand up, Oladimeji. So please, host, can you please help to unmute people so that they can speak.
I really want to appreciate the lecture given us today. I just want to have push in a suggestion. Since we have, can we have a WhatsApp page or group for people around us that where you send information, maybe when a program like this is about to happen, we just have a group of people that can relate with others so that you can, because some of the people I sent this to now, sent to me this morning that they couldn't get the link. Eventually, I have to start sending to them one after the other. That's number one question, ma. The second question is
Maybe I can answer so that I don't forget. There is actually a WhatsApp group like that. And I think the host is listening to you now. The host will take care to send the link. Maybe somebody will share the link in the chat box for people to access. There is a WhatsApp group like that. Thank you very much for noting that. You go ahead with your second question.
Thank you, ma'am. My second question is that my son needs read physics first degree, and he wants to go to Russia for a master's degree. When is he expected to write the scholarship form? Because the scholarship exam, because the scholarship one of the thrilling things when it comes to studying outside, particularly at the master's degree level.
For Russia, the scholarship exam is already over. I announced we and Arrows too announced for several weeks. The last application was 10th of December last year. So that's already closed and that's for those who are going to be resuming September this year. So, but that is for the national scholarships, which are usually full scholarships. But there are going to be new scholarships coming up now as applications begin to open for different universities. So as soon as those ones are open, we will also announce, we will let you know.
All right, ma. Thank you, ma.
So the only difference is that when you apply during the December season, you can apply for multiple universities at once, just through one application. But now you are going to have to apply institution by institution. So we have several institutions in Russia too. If we have an idea of what program you will love to study, then we can easily let him know when those scholarship opens.
All right, ma. Thank you, ma.
You're welcome. Do we have any other question? Okay, I think so. The WhatsApp group link has been shared. So please, you can just click. Every information goes in there. From time to time, we always add information there. The only thing that I will say here is, please, only Arrows we post in there. So everyone, please join in. So whatever information is available will be posted there, and you can always share with anyone. We try to do that so that we will not have people complaining about being disturbed by different kinds of information that are not related to admission purposes. Okay. Do we have anyone who have any other question? Okay, I think I'm seeing a hand blinking. Is it Elijah? Okay, Samadu Abubakar. Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, good morning.
Good afternoon or good evening from here.
Okay. My question is, for me, actually, I'm in your group. Since
Okay.
But for my background is education, actually.
Okay.
So what I need Moses, maybe masters in a educational related program.
Okay. In which country?
Actually, Russia.
Russia.
Yeah.
Education in Russia is going to be strictly in Russian language. So the first thing you will need to do is take a language program. And there is one that is open right now. So actually, let me say that to everyone. If you have any intention of going to Russia to study, even though your course is available in English, my advice is take the language course so that you can have opportunity to work. It's easier to find a job when you know the language than when you don't know it. So the advice we gave is because right now for Russia, for international student admission is not until September. So if you are going to go to Russia in September, there is a crash language course that is starting this January. There's one starting in February. So you can apply to go into that. And you don't need anything to apply for that than your international passport. So you can apply for the language program, you can start online, and you can go over there and continue the program. By the time the program ends in June, July, you will be ready to go in for your program by September. So you're going to get a visa extension through the university, and then you can go on to start your program in September. So you will still have between July and September to continue to work while you wait to start your program in September. So I don't know if I answered your question, Samadu.
Yeah, is it online or you can go there?
No, it's not online. It's not online. You can start online because of COVID situation. So most of the people that we applied for this year, for last year, they started online, but now they are beginning to go to continue their study in Russia. But I will want to advise you as someone in the field of education to think about what you intend to do with the program before you step into it. Education is a regulated profession in every country of the world.
Yeah.
So every country has its own certification for education practitioners.
Yeah.
So before you go into it, be sure of what you intend as the end result so that you will not only be discovering that after you've done what you want to do. Thank you very much. Maureen, okay. Maureen, please go ahead with your question.
Good morning.
Good
morning.
Good. Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, I just want to ask, if you need to go and study, like if I really want to go and study, and I prefer going to Canada, for instance, but when you now have to go with your children, is that possible?
It is very possible. Actually,
okay.
Your family is covered. Your family is covered if you are going to study in any country except Russia.
Okay.
Your family is covered. The only thing is that you have to provide the proof that you have the financial capacity to take care of all your family when you are in Canada. And then you also have to make sure that going with family does not contradict your idea of going to study. What do I mean by that? You want to go and study a master's program that is by thought course, and then you have a baby that is 2 years old. When you go for visa, the question you will have to answer is, where are you going to put this baby if you are going to class? So these are things that you need to consider. Yeah. So your family is covered as long as you are able to provide proof that you have the financial resources.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Bakari Oluwafemi.
Yeah. I want to ask another question about last time you shared Netherlands some opportunity in Netherlands. That one, is it scholarship or something like that?
Like I mentioned, I cannot answer scholarship questions because it's on a case-by-case basis.
Yeah.
So yeah, there are scholarships in some universities, there are no scholarships in some. Even the scholarships available have conditions that the applicants have to meet. So it depends on which university you're applying for, what program. So all of that comes into it.
Yeah. And my last question, maybe Russia, like if you want to stay, what about if you want to stay in international affairs, maybe international relations, diplomacy, those programs, does you need a Russian language, or that one you can study in English?
You can study in English, but like I said, Russian language will help you in interaction. In any country where the language, the local language is used as official language, your best bet is learn the language. But you can study in English. There are many English programs.
Okay.
Thank you.
And respectfully, and the language, the program,
Sorry?
the hope, what will be the course?
Please reach out through the WhatsApp group to Arrows.
Yeah.
I am not sure of the exact figure now, but it's cheap. It's cheap. I'm sure it's less than ₦1 million for everything. I think maybe less, maybe just a little about $500,000. Please just chat with Arrows. Somebody from the office will be able to give you information.
I'll get in touch with one of my friends there.
Okay. Okay, so Bakari Oluwafemi, can we have you now? After him, we're going to take Jefta. Then we'll be back to Oladimeji.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Thanks for this comprehensive lecture. I think one of the questions I have has been asked by that woman. I say she has a family or something. I'm a family man. But the thing is that I have a PhD in biochemistry, master's degree, and actually I just completed a PhD degree. But I want to have another PhD in biochemistry because the world is tending toward informatics and structural biology. So I can secure an opportunity either for a fresh PhD or postdoc because I'm into lecturing profession here in Nigeria. Thank you.
Sorry, I didn't really get your question well.
Okay.
Let me come again. Maybe just give me a summary.
Okay. The question is that I am in biochemistry department.
Okay.
I have to in biochemistry. So I want a PhD admission in bioinformatics and structural biology, that's molecular biology aspect of biochemistry.
Yeah, I understand.
So how is it feasible to secure the admission?
You want to do a PhD? Yes. There is noise from the background there.
I've done one in biochemistry, but I want to switch to bioinformatics and molecular aspect.
You are very free to do that. You can switch because it's not much of a switch. It's still like what I mentioned before, tech within your field. Can you hear me?
Yes, I'm listening.
I said switching to informatics within your field, still okay within your field. So I don't think you have any issue with that. And if when you are writing your statement of purpose, you can address that.
Okay.
You need to be able to bring in where you are coming from and where you are going and create a story that links the two together. That's all you are going to pay attention to. Definitely can.
Okay, I will need more from your assistant in securing.
Okay, no problem. Just chat up the office, and if there is anything that requires my attention, it will be passed on to me.
Okay, thank you.
Jefta?
Good morning from in Nigeria, ma. I want
Good
to
morning.
appreciate the program. In fact, I'm so happy to be among those who enjoy this program this morning. So you talk about a visa issue the other time, that it's better to start between 3 months to 7 months before we can gain admission, so that everything can work perfectly. But my question is that, does that mean that we are trying to seek for admission in February or March in Malaysia, and we've not even started to apply for visa, does that mean that we cannot continue or we cannot do it? I want to know, man.
Okay, I mentioned something when I was talking about that. I said visa issue differs from country to country. Malaysia is one of the countries with the easiest visa processing process, visa application process. And that is because between when you apply for visa and when you get the visa issued to you is less than 1 month. And when you are applying to universities in Malaysia, depending on the type of university, for example, when it is private university, everything, including your visa, can be done within 2 months, 3 months, even less than that, depending on how lucky you are with what we call the EMGS. And if you have every other thing ready and you don't have any delay, you can process admission and visa and everything and resume 3 months in Malaysia.
Okay,
so
that's
the
good.
visa process is very simple, it's completely not complicated.
Thank you very much.
So you don't have to worry. Okay, do we still have anyone? Let me see. Please go ahead and speak if you have any other question.
Hello, good morning, Ma, from Nigeria.
Good morning. Good morning.
This is Oladimeji Oyeyemi, speaking on the platform of my husband. I want to appreciate you, Ma, for that mind-blowing presentation lecture. I have one or two questions, Ma, or clarification from what you said. At a point, you said, Ma, that for somebody that already has master, PhD, that what will the person say he or she is going abroad to go and study again, unless he or she wants to go for building capacity or building on him or herself. So I want to find out that what can somebody of that nature, somebody like that do? You said maybe a kind of maybe 6 months programs whereby she can go and build on herself. What programs? How can you people help such an individual to get that kind of a program? Then secondly, you made mention of postdoctoral, that unless the person wants to go for postdoctoral program, fellowship, how do you, in Harrow's consult or whatever, do you help people to secure postdoctoral program or admission? Because I've tried to do that for quite a number of time. Getting supervisor has been the problem. You also spoke about writing a very good research proposal, that you help people to do that, because I think in 1 or 2 occasions I've tried to do that. And on your platform, I saw that Finland is one of the countries you help people to get admission or whatever to. I remember that I consulted, I got to a stage at Finland whereby getting supervisor was what got me stuck. So I want to see how can you people help, because I have a family friend in Finland as we are talking, and I've tried to get, postdoctoral program there, but getting supervisor maybe at 1 or 2 of their university, two or 1 or 2 other universities like that, it is the problem of supervisor that I encountered. So I don't know if at Harrow's Consult you help people to secure postdoctoral admission or program, or get supervisor, or it is this building capacity, this small program that one needs to go and do in order to gain access? These are my questions, Ma.
Okay, thank you very much. I got all post-PhD opportunities, senior programs, postdoc, and research support. That's the summary of all the questions you asked. So I will address them one after the other. Okay, like I said, after PhD, I mean, there is nothing to study again, so to say, but there is also still opportunity to study professional programs. So those are things that one can look at depending on the field that the person is coming from. And one very important thing there, like I mentioned earlier, is being able to tell a story that is credible. If you are, for example, let's say you are in a regulated profession, and let's say you are a nurse, for example, and you already have a PhD in nursing. Nurses are in demand everywhere. So when a nurse says, okay, I just want to go and study maybe a professional certification in pediatrics nursing or professional certification in psychiatric nursing, that's not going to be a master's or a PhD or bachelor's program. It's a professional qualification which can be defended anyway. So depending on the field that someone is coming from, you can choose, you can look for professional qualifications that can be done. And for those in regulated professions like teaching, medicals, engineering, you can go for certification within your field. Those are also opportunities that can be taken advantage of. You can also think about things like a master's in business administration, for example. Anyone can study for master's in business administration. You just need to tell a story that shows that it will make sense if you go to study this at the end of the day. So these are all possible opportunities. There will be more depending on which field a person is in. Senior programs, like I mentioned, are also those ones. Those are the programs that I refer to as senior programs. Because if, for example, let's say you have a PhD in the field of education, and then you decide, okay, I'm going to go because I want to start my own institution, I want to start my own school, and I'm going to have to manage it. So that's a credible story anyone can believe. So that's also possible. So those are ways of looking at post-PhD opportunities. And then postdoc, yes, I would say yes and no. The reason why I'm saying that is because at the end of the day, a postdoc program is still a research program, and the candidates still have to play the most important role in whatever is done. What we assist with is getting a supervisor, helping to look at what you are presenting, what you are writing, what you are sending to the supervisor, what your research proposal looks like. Then we can recommend. Sometimes we give your research proposal out to our team of researchers. Maybe what I didn't remember to mention during my presentation is we have a team that is called the Global Trends Academy. If you go online, you could check them. Global Trends Academy is made up of about 70 plus professors from different fields. So they are the ones that consult for ARUS education. So if anybody comes from any field, there will be someone among these 70 people who are based in industries, they are based in universities across the world. So your proposal is sent to them, and then they will advise on, okay, you need to redo this part, you need to redo this part, you need to add this. Okay, this is what is happening in this field, you should go in this line. Those are ways in which the support comes for maybe postdoc. And then when that now happens, we can also support to research which professor is most likely working within your field. Then we recommend them, and together your application is sent to them until someone says, okay, postdoc is except where the supervisor has a local grant and they permit them to give it to internationals. Usually, most grants are local and want them to give it to local students. So postdoc is usually more available when you are able to access national grants and be able to identify which supervisor has access to national grant to be able to reach out to them and then ask them to be supervisor. So that's about postdoc and research support. So I hope I'm able to answer your questions.